weighing it. So they keep falling out, but I think we're okay.
Okay, it says recording in progress.
Okay, great.
Right.
Thanks, Roberta.
Should I select got it?
Yes,
Got it.
okay.
Can't see myself now.
You'll be there in a moment.
Okay.
All right, I think I'm going to begin. Good evening and welcome to Artist Talk on Art on Monday, April 3rd, 2023. I'm Doug Shear, ATOA President. We're happy to say we're in our 49th year of presenting these talks. Founded in 1974, ATOA is the art world's longest running and preeminent forum. Our archive resides at Archives of American Art of the Smithsonian, and this month we will be adding to our collection there, bringing our archive to more than 1,000 recorded events, featuring over 8,500 artists, critics, and other people in the art world. Comments made by our presenters do not necessarily reflect those of ATOA. On April 10th, we will not be having any event. But join us on Monday, April 17th, for an interview I'm conducting of the critic and author A.D. Coleman on his long career in the world of photography. That's the 17th at 7 p.m. The event tonight is a dialogue between printmaker Wayne Montecalvo and artist Pamela Blum, and is being captured and delivered via Zoom and being recorded. That recording will be posted to the Artist Talk on Art YouTube channel in about 8 or 9 days. ATOA retains exclusive copyright of its recordings. The same recordings later become part of our permanent archive at Archives of American Art. Please reserve your questions or comments until the latter part of the presentation and use the chat function, which you'll find at the bottom of your Zoom screen, from which Pamela will select some to address to Wayne. Pamela Blum makes sculptures and paintings using encaustic paint and pigment suspended in beeswax. She has exhibited her work throughout the United States and in France. She has a BA degree in studio art and art history from the University of Pennsylvania and an MFA in interrelated media from the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. She has experience in diverse visual disciplines, including drawing, color theory, painting, sculptural installation, performance, architecture, physical planning, and graphic design. She has many years of teaching experience in colleges and universities at the undergraduate and graduate levels. She has also taught numerous workshops. She was formerly editor of FATE in Review, the Journal of Foundations in Art Theory and Education, and a member of the Mid-America Art Association Board of Directors. Born in Boston, she grew up in academia. She now lives in Kingston, New York with her husband, Richard Frummis, the founder of RNF Handmade Paints. She has traveled throughout the United States, as well as in parts of Europe and Canada. Pamela.
Thank you, Doug. We can't see, are we?
I don't know. I don't see us.
I don't see it. Is it?
Okay. Okay, hang on a second. We'll see what we can do about that.
Start your video. Oh,
There we go.
Nicole, oh, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank
Okay,
you, Doug, and thank you,
Pamela.
everyone,
Pamela, you're on. Okay.
coming to it is ATOA Talk. And thank you, Wayne, for inviting me to interview you. It has been a gas. Tell us a little bit about you. Where did you get your artistic training?
Oh, well, I went to school of visual arts a long time ago.
In?
New York City. You mean, what did I study?
Yes.
Well, I was in the sculpture department only because I didn't want to just do painting, because I like to make a lot of different things and work with a lot of different materials. So at that time, the painting instructors, if you didn't call yourself a painter, they didn't care what you did. But if you were a painter, they really wanted you to do certain things. So I was in the sculpture department, and I also liked printmaking. So I was also in this printmaking studios while I was there a lot.
And didn't you work in digital media at that point, or in video?
Actually, not yet. That happened later. Mostly I was doing a lot of screen printing, and I still do it, once in a while, but mostly things now are digital because it's quicker and it's less messy, and it's like right at everyone's fingertips. No.
Well, you've had extensive exhibition experience in every conceivable kind of venue. It's always interesting to see where your work pops up, from museums to pop-up galleries, literally. And it's always a pleasure to see it. I've admired your work for almost 30 years, and we both seem to share an appreciation of uncomfortable work. Which has some absurdity, some pain, and also humor, not all of them at the same time. You talk about the range of your interests in addition to printmaking, or in what do you use in your printmaking processes? What techniques, such as photos?
Yeah, well, I started screen printing before I went to art school as a kid, as a job, for printing labels and stuff like that. But I also got interested in color separation way back then, before computers. So I tried to figure that out on my own as much as I could.
What is it about the layers that interested you?
Well, I think screen printing is pretty much layering anyway. Because any kind of printmaking, if you're going to do more than one color, usually, not always, but you do one color at a time. But I like that you could just continually print images one on top of the other easily with silk screen. And years back, I was doing this thing called, I forgot what it's called now, but it was, the idea was overlapping continuum. Actually, that's what it was called, where I just kept taking screens and combining them in different ways, different colors, different registration, so that no two prints were the same. That's kind of what I like about printmaking, and especially the challenge with digital imagery is that, I don't want them all to be the same. So if you do one, you could do a million of them if you wanted to. So the trick is to try to make them unique.
Well, the people who've taken your workshops and your multi-tasking approach to imagery have raved, and these workshops have taken place all over the world. You've traveled all over the world for residencies as well. So you have an incredibly extensive background and an extensive experience in various cultures, as well as what you do here in Rosendale. How do you research or find what interests you?
That's hard to answer, kind of. I like something that speaks to me visually somehow. I don't know if that's a good answer.
It's very intuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is intuitive. Yeah.
Well, you said you grew up in New Jersey, and in the summer you were on the boardwalk and enjoyed the fun of the
carnival life.
Carnival life.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I worked at my parents' motel, and I kind of like that, like, I don't know, maybe colorful chaos that was going on. This was a long time ago, though. So there was a lot of remainders of old dilapidated fun houses, things like that. just crazy carnival stuff that was always around me. And later I started using, for some reason, clowns as imagery. And, maybe it came from that somehow, the whole idea of something fantastic, something fake, something, I don't know.
Well, you also mentioned that you harvested a lot of glass slides from your parents' closet.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that you tend to research just, I guess, randomly on the computer to see what inspires you.
Yeah, sometimes. But I think those glass slides, I'm interested in photographic techniques that use glass. So like older methods of photography that's on plates, I always like. I don't know how to do it, but whenever I see people doing it, I kind of like that. And lately I've been using glass and silkscreen to kind of mimic or expand on that idea.
Well, let's start your image sequence so
Okay.
people can see what you do. If you
All right.
look in the background, you'll see some of the work that Wayne has done recently.
So let me get this thing
Let's go to the
going
higher res.
and play and. All right, so let me know if you can't see this. I'm hoping you can all see this.
Okay, who we got here?
This one is Marie Antoinette. This is a fairly new piece. I started doing these end of last year, 2022. It's a combination of materials. It's insulation foam coated with foam coat, and the imagery is digital images printed, and it's fairly three-dimensional. So I'm kind of mimicking glass tiles.
Are hers all French?
Those are, yes.
There. So the
As French as I
tiles-
could find.
Right, and the text
Oh,
beneath her,
Oh, the text, that was
which you can't read.
that was the
level,
decree from Queen Elizabeth to have her, what was it? Her,
Well, that would be Mary, Queen of Scots, rather than.
that one is, yes.
Yeah. But and
Underneath.
her tiles are all from anywhere but England.
Yeah, but what I thought you meant was the writing underneath that you can't really read. That was
That too.
That was the death decree.
But there it is on a grid, and there she is on a grid. And you are basically appropriating an image, but reinventing. How do you feel
Yeah.
about appropriation?
I think it's kind of a tricky thing. I think it's interesting. It's a thing now that artists do. And especially with digital access to anything, you could appropriate whatever you want.
It certainly is. It's just something that I think we need to think about.
Yeah.
But you have abstracted the medium as well as the media, the tiles, the image, the decree, as well as recombine them. It's interesting that you're using a grid with more of the grid taken up by the star character. Let's look at the next one.
Okay. So this is the other one. This is Marie Antoinette. And I did think twice about using these famous paintings, but I thought, sometimes you just have to do something and worry about it later. Otherwise it's easy to think things through and then not do them, for me anyway, if I don't do something.
Well, you say that you're not always trying to make art, that you're more interested in the ideas than in whether it's art or not.
I suppose so. I think for creative people, you just want to do something. I don't think you worry about it being art or not. Anyway, I don't. It's just, I think of things as objects and stuff I want to do, something I want to put out into the world, whether it's whatever it is.
And let your audience interpret.
Yeah, that's going to happen anyway. So yeah.
Let's look at the next image.
And this one is Frida Kahlo. This one's called Frito because I put a bag of Fritos on there. with the Mexican lottery cards. So again, it's kind of the same tile idea, and whichever cards aren't lottery cards are Mexican tiles, or they look like Mexican tiles, they're not real tiles.
Okay.
Oh, that one was, let's see. That one was that one was 2023, so that's a little newer. And this is the newest one. This one doesn't have a title, but these were the slides you mentioned earlier that I scanned, and I had this bunch of slides that deteriorated in the basement for a couple decades, and they started falling apart. And I like that they were breaking up so much, and I decided to use those just because I've been on this thing about making these fake tile pieces.
But you're also into the destruction of things.
Well, there is that. Yeah, I like to a lot of my work I think of as portraits, and a lot of it is disrupted or taken apart and reassembled or distressed, changed somehow, from the original into something else.
I think that sets up an interesting dialogue between you and the work, and the viewer and the work. Let's go on to the next image.
Sure.
Okay. Now we get to a series of women.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the subject matter of women versus men?
I'm not sure how I think about it. I just think of it as something that's interesting for me. A lot of the images, not all of them, but a lot of the ones I do of people happen to be women. But this kind of goes back to, you'll see some of my other work that's video pieces, getting someone to become a character and become someone they're not. And also, for a while, I was trying to see how far I could push someone to do something that they wouldn't do under normal circumstances. So, when I ask friends to photograph them, that's kind of what I'm thinking of when I do things. So they're portraits, but they're not really of the person, but maybe they are of the person.
You're continuing your tile theme here, but the imagery is totally ambiguous at this point. Possibly totally abstract.
You mean the splotches in the background? Yeah.
But what about the iconography of the boxing gloves?
That, a lot of things, they just kind of happen. I just wanted to get a pair of old boxing gloves, because I thought I liked the way they looked. And then when I was photographing people anyway, I thought having someone become boxers was something I could do with these boxing gloves.
Well, the boxing gloves interest me because they're both protective and they're also dangerous.
That's true.
And I like the duality. And you have the duality of the clown, and you have the person who is your friend, right? And you're not using models that you don't know. You're using people with whom you have a friendship.
Right. Yeah. I prefer to work with people I know. I don't know. There's just seems to be more of a history. And if you're going to use someone's image, it's like you got to be careful with it in a way. So, if I don't know the person, I don't have any attachment to it. It just seems more different to me,
Well, I think the mask removes the person from you, and also to some degree from herself, and as you transform her. You mentioned at one point that you're almost playing with human beings as if they were dolls or puppets, but not really, so they're still human beings. You're one of the most humane and compassionate one of the most compassionate people I know, but there's a kind of, in a sense, a violation of that friendship, but it's certainly, you certainly have permission to do that from the model.
Yeah, there is that. There's always, getting someone's permission, even after I make a piece, if I can actually show it ever somewhere or not, or, how comfortable someone is with whatever I end up with, if it's ever going to go out in the world or not. So, that all kind of plays
These
into
have
it.
all gone out in the world, haven't they? The ones
on, most of the ones we're seeing today, yeah, some of them not, but some of them are
Mm.
just new.
Let's go on to the next one.
Okay. Oh, it won't let me, come on. How come it won't let me
I
change?
know.
That's odd.
Try going back and going forward.
Okay, we seem to be frozen here now. What's? Oh, that was a very quick interview. Will not let me.
Try to stop screen sharing and start again.
Okay,
See if it works.
okay.
Maybe we stayed too long on one image.
It could have been. Let's see if I. It won't even let me stop screen sharing. Come on. It won't let. I'm trying to escape now, and it won't let me do that. Doggone.
Do it for you.
This worked really good before.
It did.
Well, we just look at this for the next hour and a half. Let me try. Hang on a second. Oh, there we go. It was just stubborn. Okay, so the next one, another boxer.
This one, how old?
I think she was 9 then.
And it's called,
Oh, this one is called. This one is called The Title. No, this one's called The Ring. I'm sorry.
The Ring. And once again, you do something that's so interesting. I mean, you have this prepubescent girl with a ring around her belly, and ask the viewer to think about her impending sexuality, and yet it's not a particularly sexual image. She's rather pugilistic in her pose. And you know, the gloves are almost breaking the picture plane on this one. It's interesting to me that they are. And again, you have the offense, defense, soft, dangerous component.
Yeah, I guess one thing I should say about some of these, again, you know, I'm combining materials. This is digital imagery, but also silk screen print on top of that with stains and ink splatter and stuff like that. Anyway, in case people are wondering what they're looking at. Next one.
Yeah.
This is another kind of similar idea. You know, same techniques, stains, splatter, boxing gloves.
And glasses.
With glasses. This one's a little different. This is, you know, taking a portrait that's out of focus and manipulating further, breaking it up however I can do that. Different pattern, different textures. This one is called Blue Smile, and it's 23 by 32 inches. You know, most of the work I do is not that large. Some of it's actually kind of small. And, you know, again, this is a mixture of digital images, paint, and caustic medium. I use a lot of that as an adhesive to hold things together because it also has texture to it. Next.
Sure.
Okay, now this is something else. I've also been doing performance pieces, but kind of more from the musician's end because I like to play music. This was a project I did way back in, I got it written down here, 1999, but I think it's worth showing. It's a long piece, but I cut it down to like 2 minutes or something. But basically it was a town built out of trash, and most of the community got involved almost by accident. Whoever would show up when I was building this thing, they'd join and help me put this thing together. And it's kind of a nonsensical story about a town. So we'll just watch, you know, a minute.
Well, here's our leaders. Nice clothes, nice crowns, nice clowns. You got everybody mad and you failed. You were supposed to make things nice, and they're not. And because you failed to protect life and to make things comfortable for us, now you have to go to the bleachers.
the title of that is,
That's Trash Town.
and where did you get
Um,
everything?
Oh, just found it along the side of the road. You know, it took like a summer to gather all the stuff, but everyone who got involved kind of had free range to do whatever they wanted, which is something I liked. So it kind of had a life of its own. And the whole thing was about 2 hours. So we're just, you know, it goes on for a long time.
There are people who just sort of came by, weren't there?
Yeah, most people just wanted to know what was going on and they decided to become part of it and part of the performance, and they got a chance to do whatever crazy thing they wanted to do.
Which is different from scripting. So at that point, had you developed your intimate relationship with the people who run the Rosendale dump? Were you
Yeah.
collecting things from
Yeah.
the dump at that point?
Yeah, a lot of stuff from the dump. Yeah.
Well, I love that your wife, Laura Moriarty, mentioned that, told me that story, and that they saved things for you,
Yeah.
such
saved-
as,
Well, there's 2 concrete donkeys in front of our house that I got from the dump. All the glass pieces, the plate glass that I'm using, I get from the dump. This tree I got from the dump.
your wall in your studio, the back wall in the studio, is very similar to the walls in your house. You basically decorate your house the same way that you decorate your studio. You make an art, non-art piece out of it.
I suppose, yeah, I guess as artists, what are you going to do with the art after a while? So it goes on the wall. This next piece is called Giant. No, they're looking at a blank screen. So this kind of show, this was 2007. This I did during a residency at Vermont Studio Center. And it's kind of, you know, I was using people as characters, and you'll see more of that in this. It's about 2 minutes or so.
You're sort of making fun of cartoons and action hero movies, but you also have a metaphor for the doomsdays we're actually facing.
Could be. I have one more video before I start showing just some flat artwork again. This was done at Deep Listening Space. Pauline Oliveros had a space in Kingston, New York, where they had crazy performances and things like that. And this is a short like minute and a half, if that, of this one piece, but oh, just let you, whoops. I'll let you. We have one more we'd like to do. I'll cheer you up. You're just sitting there looking at us. We had to twist Mike's arm to get him to do this. He says he wants to play music. Come on, cheer up, Mike.
So that was by invitation, one of your many sort of grant or invitational opportunities that you've had.
That was just this thing that Pauline was doing, where she had these, crazy acts that people could do if they wanted, and it was just getting people to do something that they normally might not do. They did applaud for it. So this one is a lot of my work these days is collage. This is digital images, mixed media, silk screen, and a bunch of stuff, a bunch of splatter, India ink, paint.
This title is?
Oh, I'm sorry. The title of this one is Harvest 2020, 24 by 34 inches on panel.
It's interesting you're juxtapositioning all that perfectly formed fruit with an aging person.
Huh. What can you say?
Anything you want.
Next one.
Sure.
All right, this is 2007. This is going back. Again, more mixed media, another portrait. The same image that I used in the lower section of this piece, an earlier version of it. This is on plexiglass. I was using silk screen prints, digital imagery, alcohol stain, coffee stains, things like that. And this one is called Plastic Pipe. Another version of the same image, and this one's called Small Blur. This one is 12 inches by 12 inches. Again, more mixed media, silk screen print on top of coffee stains, on top of digital imagery, and then another screen print on top of that.
And again, the shifting of the person's identity into almost a caricature of an expression.
Yeah, kind of taking something and turning it into something else, pushing it from point A to some other point. This one, same kind of idea. This is not titled. This is just a piece I did that I just wanted to include because it kind of shows how I was thinking about faces and people, and how you can push something to an extreme or not.
And the process of abstraction. Is this one that you did at about the time you went to Japan?
Wow,
The reason I'm asking is because in that series, which I don't think you show here, you almost obliterate the figure completely except for the silhouette. And here you're almost obliterating the figure completely.
Yeah, this one, I'm not sure this when it was done. I don't even have it dated. It says date unknown. It just says it's small. But it was when I was playing around with coffee stains, because I was also making portraits out of just coffee stains, and they were also very small. So I'm not sure when this happened. Oh, okay, another video. All right, this is pretty short. This is called Gatekeeper. It's more clowns. It's more getting someone to become a character on, you know, pushing them to do something that normally people wouldn't do, kind of thing.
The job I really wanted was to be a garbage man. I loved the idea of riding on the back of one of those trucks and watch the garbage get squished by that thing on the back of the truck. I always thought it would be really hard to get that job. There were probably like a million other people that wanted that job. There's only room for 2 people on the platform. Sabina had these great shoes though. They were old-fashioned. They were turquoise with clear plastic toes and had fake red peppers glued on top. She always paint her toenails bright red, and then her toes would be squished into the plastic part. I wish I had those shoes today.
This one is when I started doing things on glass. This is several screen prints that are distorted during the printmaking process so that they smear and run and blur and they're out of focus. And they're printed on very thin tissue and adhered to glass with stains in the background. And that is 36 by 24. That was done in 2015.
Don't go away.
Oh, sorry. Oops, back. Yes.
This one really interests me because while it implies a linear time, if you read from left to right, or you can read from right to left, it's actually so different from image to image that it's like different states and time of being.
Mhm.
And I really love this print because of that.
Yeah, it does kind of shift, you know, in that way. This is another one on glass. Again, I'm playing around with silkscreen prints, stained paper, tea bags, border on the top and bottom. This one is called Lookout, and it was 2026, 36 by 32.
Wait.
Yes.
I love this one too, because you seem to have, you know, a classic beauty from the 1920s wearing her future, which is as a skeleton. And again, you've erased so much of the identity of this person, yet it's obviously the inverse of the person. So you ask a lot of questions about youth and what happens, or time period, and what happens with this one, I think.
Yeah. This one is called Facing Away. This one is, let's see, how big is this one? 36 by 36, 2016. And it was a screen print on panel that's been disrupted, I guess, with alcohol to kind of break up the ink. You know, kind of like, you know, I was really interested with collodion prints, you know, which again, I don't know how to do, but I always like that kind of that look where things are kind of messed up. This is a self-portrait. This was.
But you've done some, this is at a particularly special place. You were in Japan
Yes.
for this.
Right. Yeah.
What's the name of the
It's
residency?
Awagami. It's a paper making factory. And they have a program where artists can go and spend 3 weeks working in their factory and learning how to make Japanese paper. And this one, the size of this is a meter, so it's like 41 inches square on handmade paper with stained paper, you know, and kind of collaged down on top of a digital print
Of
me.
it also has these sort of glasses
Yeah.
that show almost nothing behind them, which I find very interesting. And you were using a new for this you used a large format digital printer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was new to you?
Yeah, I didn't have access to one, so it was kind of nice to they had a printer there. They had a print shop, but they also had digital printing. So that was kind of nice to do.
And you're also doing the take apart, put back together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Invert.
Yes. And this was way before COVID, so those masks were just what the fashion in Japan then, just wear those masks.
I don't think so.
This is another take on that same idea, done in the same residency. Sometimes I'll do something and I don't like it, so I'll take it apart or do something to it to change it, and then I'll put it back together again, and maybe I'll like it. Not always, but sometimes. So this is again playing around with handmade paper and digital printing and messing it up, and reassembling.
And in a way that where you can't really have all options, but you have to choose. But you have to choose as you experiment, so you don't really know exactly what you're going to get.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of how, when I get a digital image, I want to change it for that reason, because it's like, kind of already planned out and it's right there. You just push the button. So I like to do something else to it. These were 2 screen prints printed on wet paper so that they kind of bled. And then the paper was dipped in wax, and the stain in back is another piece of paper behind it. So you're looking at 2 pieces of paper here, but the paper becomes so thin with the wax, and transparent with the wax, I should say, that, whatever's in back of it shows through. So that's what this is.
I think the content of this one is really interesting because you have 2 different degrees of modesty and revealing, which if you took them to Iran would cause an uproar. So they're interesting also because of the cultural context in which you can make them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because, to some folks, it's not necessarily revealing. That's just the way people, like, that person dresses.
Oh, I thought the person on the left was.
You think that's revealing, or that one?
Well, I think they're both about revealing or not revealing. But I read the one on the left as not a dress, but a towel held up for modesty. So
Yeah,
I may be misreading it.
No, actually, that's what it is. I was thinking of the other image.
Oh.
I was misreading it.
Oh, well, how interesting.
More skeletons. This is kind of double images flipped and then printed, layered, printed separately, layered on top of each other, with stains underneath it. And this one is called, well, it doesn't really have a title. Other Portrait, 2006, 42 by 41. Actually, no, it's called Skeletons. That makes more sense. 20 by 36, 2020. So that was a couple years back.
Well, you're using youth and skeletons again, and the same person with different states of identity again. So it's a theme.
Yeah. They're not that young, actually.
Oh, well.
But it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right, I have another video you're going to watch. More skeletons. It's called Black Bone. We'll watch this one. Not even 2 minutes. That was when I was actually putting my name on them. This one, another skeleton. This is called Collapse, 24 by 28 inches, 2020. I was trying to get the image to deteriorate and let the underneath black area show through. So the image is floating on top of a layer of wax. And when I reheated it, the digital image kind of broke up and the underneath showed through. So I liked when that happened. This one is called A Perfect Pair, more of a collage image, collage piece, bunch of images. This was
Were you-
done 2021.
Were you thinking at all about medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque paintings where fruit stood for religious figures, the Madonna, various saints? Or was this just happenstance?
Well, to me, I just thought it looked kind of Italian somehow.
It
That's,
does.
that's what I got
But
out of it.
these are the figures that you collect from the dump, aren't they?
This I forget where I got this one from, but you know, some of these statues, I don't know where I get them from.
It's interesting that you've got the tiles again, only they're more diaphanous and more like
Yeah.
fabric.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Now the clown, same thing, trying to get the underlayer to kind of break up and show through. This one's called Joe 2020, 24 by 30.
There's such, again, the hiding of the person behind the mask, but the voluptuous presentation of the breast and sort of a take me, don't take me kind of
Huh.
messages that I see in this one. I don't know if that's what you intended.
Well, it's interesting because this one, you know, I was doing themes with clowns, you know, and I asked this person if they wanted to be photographed again. And I said, I'm doing this thing with clowns, you know, you want to put on clown makeup. And she showed up at the door like that. So I was like, wow, that's a really good clown outfit. I could never do something that good. But yeah, it was funny. I couldn't recognize her, like, you know, at the door. She showed up at her door and oh, okay. Another clown. Oh, this one's called Stars 2021. More collaging.
It seems somehow to avoid being about race, even though you have an African-American model.
Huh.
Is there something just so deeply human and soulful about all the people that you shoot? I don't know how you select them, but they almost invariably seem to have a deep humanity. And
Yeah, they're mostly interesting, I guess. They're yeah, yeah, that's true. I have another movie. I don't know if I should bother watching it. I'm gonna maybe
is that the
skip it.
really violent one?
No, it's not violent. It's
Yeah.
just it's a little bit longer, foreign movie. I'm gonna skip past that one. I won't make you all watch it because I want to go to something else. It will let me. I won't. There we go. So this is. I've been doing these cardboard buildings. Another thing I started kind of liking and using in my work. So this is a photograph of one of the buildings, which I also use in my pieces. This one is called. This one's called First House 2021, 24 by 33 inches. Another collage, layering. You know, a lot of this stuff, it all has to do with layering, I suppose, one way or the other.
Your houses have a kind of every person feeling about them. They're not McMansions, they're not hovels, but they're decaying historic buildings, even if they're invented and somewhat more modern like this one. Show some more.
Yeah. Another one. Same idea, you know, laying on top of random images. These images were actually in the background photographed off of 8mm movies that either collected, sometimes they're ones that I shot when I was younger, but blown up, large and used as a background. Another one, mixed media stuff.
They all have the feeling of, an industrial town that's decaying, and sort of like the erasure of the figures, but this time it's place.
Oh,
And almost the house or building itself as the persona.
yeah. We can watch this one. This is in action.
I want to comment on the fact that let's go to the next image so it's not a blank screen, that that one of the things I find fascinating are your soundtracks, and also finding out how you produce them. You have one video where you have you've created crickets by running windshield wipers against a dry window. And there are just so many inventive ways you use sound. And that reminds me that you play a number of instruments in various community oriented activities that you get involved in.
Yeah, I have done that. Yes.
But accordion, obviously we saw you play fiddle.
Sousaphone. Yeah, there was a local brass band, which I thought was really fun because no one really knew how to play anything. So it was anyone could join. They didn't care if you knew how to play anything. It was fun.
And you wore one of your costumes for that.
Yeah, that one was involved costumes. There's also a local place, Red Wing Blackbird Theater, that does a lot of puppet show music things. So I worked with them from time to time. But the sound in that video we just saw was the radio was on when I put it together. I just wanted to have some record of those houses and to show that they're three-dimensional, because you take a still image and then they don't move anymore. So to see them from the sides was the point of doing the video. But the radio was on and I didn't want it to be so definite. So I just reversed that and put some other noises in there. These pieces are more of those houses, but I started doing these blob figures for a while that were basically like toy plastic figures covered with material. And I thought they looked good just standing around the neighborhood.
I think you're
front of
sort of
these.
bringing Renaissance, Mary Magdalene in this one, and all the these sort of religious figures in these, secular environments. It's interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I have a bunch of these. I just got like a handful to show you, and they're small. They're like, maybe 4 inches tall or so. Hunchback. This was another just distorted image. It's called Flame. It's a smaller piece, 12 by 17 inches, 2021. But overlapping several images to come up with a new image, that's not going to be duplicated. Oh, then these are more portraits I started doing. These are fairly new. I was using wax, several digital images, and then trying to distort them with powdered graphite, burnishing, sometimes India ink, a lot of layering. This one I think is, let's see, I can tell you what it's called. It's called Tank, and it's 6 inches by 6 inches, 2022. This one's called Dew, 2021, 6 by 7 inches. Seeing Red, 6 by 7 inches. This one is called 1/2, 11 inches by 12 inches. Clean White Robe, 16 inches by 18 inches. What time we got? Uh-oh.
We're fine.
I'm gonna run out. Red Stripe. This is an earlier piece on glass. Again, this is a mixture of silkscreen prints, stained paper, shellac, paint, powdered graphite, kind of all squished down and layered from the back of a piece of tempered glass. Red lines, another piece on glass. These are I'm still doing, these are kind of fairly new to me. This one is 9 by 12 inches.
They seem to build on the same kind of thematic ideas you've done in your earlier work.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe other people do this, but I kind of jump around and go back and forth ideas, old artwork.
But there's still some themes that run through the body of the work. The whole of it.
Yeah.
Go back and show that video,
Which video?
the one you didn't show.
Okay, it's a little bit longer and it's kind of odd. Let's see, where is it?
It's really strong.
Okay. Oh, wait, this is a good one. I should show you Soldiers. Hang on, let me see. The one you want to see is okay, Soldiers Back. All right. I'm sorry, I did skip this one. Let's look at this one because I just think it's worth looking at. It is. All right, 1 minute and 40.
You're talking crazy. It's just the demands you're making cannot possibly be met.
I can bring it right over.
Cannot possibly. No, there is no room here.
In the porch where you are.
There is no room.
There is room enough in the porch. Your tools went right in the garage, okay?
No, don't bullshit me. There was a little square thing of plastic in there with tools in there. I had tools galore, okay? I had radar detectors, all right?
Yeah.
I had a million watt light. A million watt light. Where did that go?
I have no idea. Okay?
You have no idea.
The light I have.
Fucking George stole it with that kid.
The light I told you I have
George
long ago.
stole it with
Can you
that
talk
kid.
civilized or do I have to hang up again?
Listen, George stole it with that kid.
George did not steal anything.
Look, since he stole my tools and you're trying to ruin my equipment, I'll have you arrested. If either of you come over here, since I believe that he stole the tools, and since you're not supposed to be near me, I'll have both of you arrested if you show up around here. Do not show up here because I will call 911. You heard what I said? You don't quite understand what I'm saying.
I will carry it in. Don't worry about it.
I just took a back medication and took my clothes off to relax.
Yeah, what else is new? Don't you think I want to relax too?
But you don't have a soldier's back.
No, soldier's back is just a lot of nonsense, okay?
Oh, it is it? I can't believe you're saying this to me.
I don't give a shit. I want you out tonight here, okay? And not even Monday. Because I have to go back. I have a job.
You have a job?
So I like the dialogue on that one. So this is the other one, foreign movie.
Explain where you got the.
Oh, that was actually I got it from a friend of mine who got this phone message tape from an old phone machine. It was this argument these people were having, but I just thought the dialogue was so good. I just stuck it up with an image. And actually the actor in that video was the first boxer painting that I showed. That's who that person is.
She becomes sort of a commentator, but also a participant in the drama.
Yeah. So this one's called Foreign Movie. This is a long time ago. This was done in 2007.
Have you seen Randy?
Yeah, but he's not Randy anymore.
Who?
Randy, but he's Rebecca, or she is anyway.
Randy?
Yeah, Rebecca, who used to be Randy.
When did this happen?
Right now.
What, you mean it's still happening?
Yeah,
That's screwed up. I wish I'd known.
yeah, I knew it was going to happen, but I wish I didn't know.
Can you tell my future?
Yeah,
When?
what?
When can you tell my future?
Close your eyes and tell me the first fruit that comes to mind.
Banana.
No, pick something else.
How come?
Just pick something else.
Tomato.
Not that one.
Orange juice.
Maybe not that one either. Try again.
A carrot.
Okay. Did you say carrot?
Yeah. Why? How come?
Tomorrow you're going to run into someone you think you used to know. You're going to run into Randy. I mean Rebecca.
Really?
No, I'm making it up. Yes, Randy.
You mean Rebecca.
Yeah, but you won't recognize him.
Who?
I mean you won't recognize her.
Who? Randy?
Yes, Rebecca.
Where does she live now?
Far, far away and long ago.
And what else?
After Rebecca, I see a stalker.
I'll see a stalker? I'll see a stalker?
No, I can, but you can't.
A stalker. That's great. I always wanted a stalker following me around.
You'll be watched for 2 days, every place you go.
Really? Everywhere? The whole time?
Everywhere.
Is he good looking?
Yeah, but it's not a he, it's a she.
It's not a blonde, is it?
Yes, a blonde.
That's great. What will happen tomorrow?
Shut your eyes. Don't go anywhere tomorrow.
Really? Why?
And you better not ride your bike.
How come?
Just don't do it.
Once
So
again, you're taking on social issues.
Yeah.
And you wrote the script, didn't you?
yeah.
Which is incredible script.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
Well, thank you. So I guess that's where we left off. This one is called Waiters on glass, 10 by 14 inches. And this one is called 2 halves, 14 by 18 inches on glass. These two were from 2003, so these are kind of new. This is called NUSU, 2021, 15 by 21. You know, digital imagery, India ink, a lot of stains, silk screen print on top of it. Veil. What can I say about this one? 2021, 22 by 35. Almost done. Overloading, another boxer theme. This one I just put a whole bunch of stuff down. I wanted to see what would happen if I cluttered it up, kind of. And then this one is going back a few years. But I always liked something about it. It's silk screen prints on top of stained paper, layered down with wax, acrylic paint underneath, India ink. But, you know, I was printing these on a surface that wouldn't make good contact. So I was printing on either corrugated cardboard or just kind of a half dry screen or some other texture underneath. I did 3 of them and mounted them together. And that's it. That's 2018. So I'm gonna
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So I'm gonna stop the share, I guess.
I guess we should let people ask questions. I'm not quite sure how to do the chat part.
Okay, well, let's see if I can.
First, take a look at the chat. You know, it's at the, you'll see something on the bottom of your Zoom screen that says chat, cleverly. If you click on that, you'll see a display of the chat messages.
Oh, there they
And you can pick whatever ones are of interest. And if you wish to go to people's voices, we can switch and let people speak.
No, let's
Oh,
let
that-
people speak.
Yeah, that's fine.
That means
okay.
we won't be using the chat, but there'll be the people who are on chat.
They could repeat their chat.
Sure.
Auto-
So Nicole, why don't you unmute everybody?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Or we could go back to the chat.
I thought that last video was really great. It was the best one, I thought.
Oh, thank you.
Because-
Really?
Man, no, I'm on a Zoom thing, but I gotta get out. I gotta sign out of it. Leave. I gotta leave. Okay.
Oh,
Leave me.
You'll be missed.
You want to
I
talk
guess-
about why you found it the best video?
Oh, why? It just sounded like the kind of conversation we might have at home, you know.
Yeah, well, those two kind of admitted that's kind of how they talk anyway after I recorded them. Which is,
After cross-examination.
I mean, we could read the things if no one wants to speak.
Well, grab a few and maybe it'll spur-
I can't see that.
How large is Mary Queen of Scots? Let's see.
Mhm.
Mary Queen of
Where's that?
Scots.
You mean in real life?
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
24 by 45. That was one of the first, well, it was the first one, I guess. Yeah, that was the size of that one.
Someone commented.
There was a movie about it, about Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, sure.
Are the edges burned? The edges of what?
Your irregular edges on your images,
Oh,
sort
what-
of frames within frames.
You mean on the first, on the
A
top?
whole bunch of them.
No, they're not burned. I mean, they're painted and they might look burned, some of them. Some of them are stained. I'm not sure which piece Jinda is referring to. Or, oh no, I'm sorry, David. Are the edges burned? How are they printed? Are they are, well, some of them are digitally, most of them these days are digitally printed. But a lot of them also have screen printed elements on top of the digital prints. So I screen print on really thin tissue and then lay it on top often. Like thumbprints in the background, a mugshot of sorts. Yeah. Oh, there's lots of questions. That's good.
Grab a few.
Let's keep going.
Amanda. Oh,
We
we
had-
had this one in the gal. Yes.
Great to
You're
see.
gonna need to repeat the
Thanks,
questions that you see.
Sorry, gotta go.
Oh, oh, Roxanne. Okay.
And I can't read that.
Hi, Edith. I wouldn't know where to start. Your work is always fascinating. Maybe your brain must go to science research. My brain is- okay. To be studied, by the way, all these are compliments. Oh, good. Okay. I'd like to know what's in there myself. I do use Photoshop and sometimes manipulate the images. But often I find that I'm just trying to make corrections because I'm printing on paper that's not intended for photography. So I'm kind of pushing the printer to do something it doesn't want to do in the first place. But I do use Photoshop often. But I think mostly it's to correct color balance and shadows and things like that.
Are you doing any of the manipulation? Are you doing any of the manipulation you know, to get any of the effects or all of the effects done after the fact with mediums and materials? Do you do any kind of like ghosting or just changing the image in Photoshop first and then coming back and manipulating the materials?
Yeah, I like to do anything like that after the print. So I try not to do too much of that stuff in Photoshop because I like to have options, you know, to either move something to the left or to the right half an inch. You know, once you put it in a layer in Photoshop and print it, you're kind of stuck with it. And I also like to tear things apart and reassemble them. So most of that kind of manipulation, I think that you're referring to, I don't do in Photoshop. You know, I like to do a lot of the stuff beyond Photoshop. You know, and that kind of goes into the idea of having something become unique after it's something that's digitized to the extent that, you know, it could be printed, you know, a lot, you know, and have the exact same thing. So my goal is to try to do one of a kind, even starting from.
And when you're using the wax, are you just using a pure beeswax? You combination waxing? What when you're saying you're dipping something in wax, what do you have, like a vat of melted wax going, or?
Yeah, sometimes, or I might just brush it on a flat surface and scrape it off, but I use encaustic medium, you know, and I buy it. It's just, you know, I'm not a paint maker, and it's, you know, it's easy enough to buy it and melt it and use it. I know a lot of folks out there who are work with encaustic, you know, make their own.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I work with encaustic, but I don't use encaustic to paint. I do things like you do, where I put it on materials and melt the crap out of it and make the materials transparent, like silk organza and rice paper and different types of things.
Right.
To change the surface and give it a new dimension.
Actually, I can't see who's talking.
This is Babs Reingold. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't know if
Okay.
I put my image on. Can you see me?
Let's see. Maybe if I scroll.
I don't know. I'm probably at the end. I came on late, but anyway, night. Thank you, by the way. Wonderful work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I like all the manipulation of the materials. It was just a wonderful use of materials.
Oh, thank you.
Wayne, going back to your original, you know, your early days of printmaking, I guess, at school, in your early stages, were you ever involved with things like color Xerox or video prints, you know, prints made from video and that sort of thing?
No, I can't say I've done much of that. For a while, I liked to play around with Polaroid transfers. I just thought those are great because you can't control them, you know, and you end up with these things that
interesting accidents happen.
Yeah.
I think that SVA still has a very interesting graphics area, you know, graphics department. Good teachers, some of them, and we've had a few on ATOA over the years.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I was there. They didn't. Yeah, I mean they've grown a lot since I was there too. The school.
Right.
Let's see. Are there any more
questions?
Any more comments? Maybe not.
Yeah, I have
no
a
more
question.
questions. Oh yes.
Hello.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's not so much a question. It's just a. What's so fascinating about your work is you take appropriation and you legitimize it in such a way that it becomes an art form in itself. I mean, you appropriate everything. Whether you've got permission or not, you appropriate people, you appropriate objects, you appropriate history, you appropriate friendship, you manipulate, you appropriate materials by using them in a way that they're not intended. You you decay them, you break them, everything is sort of on the edge. Your videos and your still work are almost the same, because the still work is never is always is always sort of in transition, saying something, saying in between, saying two different things. And your videos, they become in motion, and it's just so interesting, because you're an artist who plays on the edge, and puts people on the edge. I remember seeing a number of your shows that were really put me on the edge, and that was so. I mean, look, the whole point of art is to bring out emotion, is to relate to things, and you do it in such a unique way, and such an adventurous way. That's not even a strong enough word.
Well, thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. I couldn't have
As
said
somebody
it.
who tells everybody how to use encaustic correctly, I want you to know that I admire what you do.
Well, I don't know if I use it correctly, so.
No, that you don't. You take it to the edge, you take it to the extreme, and that's what's so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well,
Because that's what
also-
art is about.
Well, I do tell people that, if I'm trying to show them something the way I do it, I'm saying this isn't necessarily the right way to do it. So
Not important. Yeah. That's what's so unique and so wonderful.
no, well, thank you.
So I would like to jump in and say a hearty thank you to Pamela Blum and to Wayne Montecalvo. I really enjoyed it tremendously, and I think everyone did.
Oh, great.
And I'd like to thank our programming coordinators, Therese Chen and Purnima Anand, as well as the programming committee. And tonight, especially, I'd like to thank Nicole Fraser, who's our videographer, for stepping in and covering the Zoom while the regular Zoom people are in Europe this week. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And I wish you all a good night.
I'd
Well,
just
thank
like to
you,
say
Doug.
one more
Thank
thing.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, also, I want to say thank you, Pamela and Wayne. Great to see you.
You too.
Well, I'd like to say something to Wayne, whom I admire for always having taught himself and explored. I find your work increasingly profound and far-ranging. It has pathos, sensitivity, biting humor, and retains for me a mystery with new meaning in every visit.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So again, thank you, everybody. And
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Doug.
Thank
see
you.
you at the next
Thank
one.
you.
Sure.
Okay.
Next one on the 17th.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Yep.
Hey.